Loss of tolerance, immune tolerance to self is increasing rapidly and it can affect you too. And I'm going to share with you why and what you need to know about it. Autoimmune diseases are increasing rapidly, and of course, there's a connection to this. More interestingly, more women than men are affected by autoimmune diseases. And it's not just because of better diagnosis or increased testing. There is a reason behind that, and that's exactly what I'm going to share with you because there is a perfect storm at play behind autoimmune disease activation or chronic autoimmune activation rather. So, I'm going to also have a free masterclass coming up soon on the 16th of May 2022, which is next month. It's called Turn Confusion into Clarity, Explore the Interconnectedness at the Root of Autoimmune Disease and of your autoimmune disease. So, if you would like to know more, get the answers about what's really at play, what are the possible interconnections between your health issues, your symptoms, and your environment, and what you can do about it, starting with food, then sign up for the free masterclass using the link that I've shared here. Um, if you're watching it on replay, make sure that you send me or your any questions that you might have after this live session, and I will make sure to reply to you. So let's get started. So the first thing is that the immune system has some inbuilt mechanisms, right? It has some inbuilt mechanisms to distinguish between what is a foreign particle and what is our own body tissues. The problem is that increasingly, because of some of the reasons that I will share with you in a bit, these mechanisms are increasingly being overridden, right? That's the problem. The immune system is not broken. It is not certainly not gone berserk. It is just that this hypervigilance, this overreaction, when which if it goes on long enough, finally leads to immune dysregulation, and which is at the root of all autoimmune diseases and indeed many other diseases, especially the childhood epidemics that we are facing right now, like allergies, eczema, asthma, even ADHD to that extent, right? To some extent. And these have become increasingly common. And even though they have become common, they are not by any means normal. And I think sometimes we confuse between what is common with what is normal. So what is increasingly common are these kind of chronic conditions. Doesn't mean that we should be having them. Our children should be suffering from them, or that even it should be normal for a 70-year-old or 60 plus to suddenly develop an autoimmune disease out of the blue, which is again happening more and more often than we would think. So again, I would like to just reiterate: it is not because of increased testing and more better diagnosis. It is also because of the increased incidence of autoimmune diseases in particular, and that's the area that I sort of focus on in my coaching practice. I work with women with typically non-specific autoimmune conditions. That means those who have not been gotten a confirmed diagnosis yet, and it's really painful, and it takes a long time to actually get a confirmed diagnosis, by which time people get sicker and sicker. The diseases keep increasing intensity and quantity both. So there is a but that's a window of opportunity to stem that disease progression and in fact even reverse it, and that's what I typically focus on. And of course, I also work with women with confirmed autoimmune conditions, like in the past, like Hashimoto's, and rheumatoid arthritis, psoriasis, to name a few. So, in a nutshell, there is a sort of immune dysregulation which is going on, and it's important for you to understand that autoimmune diseases are a disease at the bottom. It's a disease of the entire immune system. So even though there are more than about now close to 100 autoimmune diseases that have been classified, at the end of the day, the approach that we take in functional medicine is we call it a systems biology approach. So rather than looking at different body parts or different discrete organs, we look at the person as a whole, right? Because we know that everything is connected to everything else. So what's happening at one part of your body is certainly affecting what's happening at some other part of your body, and especially where your immune system is concerned. Again, if you're watching this live, I would like to know if you have any questions. Make sure that you put it in the comments below. I would love to answer it for you or clear of any doubts. So these, as I mentioned, that the immune system has suddenly not gone berserk. There is a sort of immune dysregulation which is at play, which is at the root of any kind of autoimmune and some other diseases like eczema, asthma, allergies. So if you understand what's going on, then it's easier for you to actually start taking steps today to make sure that you can stem or prevent disease progression. So the perfect storm is something that I want to touch upon next. Now the perfect storm was coined by Dr. Alessio Fasano, and he's really known for his contribution to celiac disease and also the research behind autoimmunity and enhanced intestinal permeability. So the three factors at play behind any autoimmune disease activation is the enhanced intestinal permeability, which we also call leaky gut, genetic factors, and a weak or imbalanced immune system. And of course, I have talked about intestinal permeability in many other of my live training sessions, in my blog posts. But in a nutshell, it is when your gut lining becomes the junctions of your cell lining becomes more permeable than it should be, and it starts allowing undigested or partially digested foods and other microbes and toxins to pass through into the bloodstream. It happens due to various reasons. And when it passes into the bloodstream when it's not supposed to be, your immune system gets activated. So it mounts an immune response because it's not sure whether it's a friend or a threat. And that's primarily what happens. Many reasons for that. Again, I have talked about this earlier, but this is one of the three factors that I was talking about. The second one is that you have genetics. So if you already have the genes, it predisposes you to that particular disease. Doesn't mean that you will get it. That's actually the field of epigenetics, which means that ultimately whether that gene will get expressed or not depends on you, depends on the environment you have created for your body and the environment that you're asking your body to live in. So if that environment is filled with toxins, if it's filled with high stress levels, if it's filled with poor sleep conditions, poor rest, inadequate hydration, you get what I'm saying, right? Vis-a-vis if you have created an environment which is more healing, so where you're managing your stress, where you're getting adequate rest, good quality sleep, you're focusing on your digestion, your gut health, social relationships, all of that matters, and it's a part of a healing environment. So depending on which environment you're asking your body to live in, your immune system is going to respond to that environment, right? So that's your genetics, but an epigenetics at play. And of course, all of depending on where you are, if you are having a weak or an imbalanced immune system, if you have all of these together, which is enhanced intestinal permeability, aka leaky gut, which is your genetics, and a weak or imbalanced immune system. And then, if there is any kind of trigger, now the trigger can be typically it's an environmental trigger, which means that there is a viral infection that takes place, or there's an ongoing chronic infection, or a microbe, a bacterial infection, or any kind of other high levels of stress, sudden high levels of stress, or a trauma. Anything can activate immune response and autoimmunity or chronic autoimmune activation. So this is the perfect storm that I was talking about, and it's one of the three reasons that I wanted to sort of share with you why autoimmune diseases are on the rise. The second thing that the reason is a chronic mismatch. It's an evolutionary mismatch between what our bodies have evolved to live, the kind of environment that our bodies have evolved to live in vis-a-vis what we are asking it to live in. So today in our modern lifestyle, we are asking our bodies to live in an environment where there is nutrient poor, highly refined, high sugar processed foods, right? Accessible 24 by 7. So that's kind of a thing. Then high levels of environmental toxins, again, high stress environment, and even poor sleep for that matter. So there are many different things that are at play here, but these are primarily the conditions which we are living in. But our bodies were equipped to deal with an entirely different kind of a situation and different kind of an environment. So that evolutionary mismatch is another reason why autoimmune diseases are on the rise, because your immune system is trying to compensate, your body is trying to adapt to this environment, right? So that's the second reason why autoimmune diseases are on the rise, and how it concerns you, because um, this can happen for anyone, and that's exactly why I said children are having more and more immune dysregulation, which is leading to inflammation, which can actually lead to autoimmune disease activation. So it can happen to any of us at any point in our life. But I am not trying to scare you here. All I'm trying to is laying out the reality so that you can start taking steps, and start to pay attention to what's going on in your body, and maybe take the steps that you can to prevent any further disease activation or disease progression. And even if you have been diagnosed with any kind of autoimmune disease, you can further prevent disease progression and even reverse many, if not most, of your symptom. It is certainly possible. And finally, at the root of it all are three main things, which is food, toxins, and stress. I touched upon these because this come up again and again. So if we had to classify our main issues, why we are dealing with all of or any chronic illness, we can actually make three buckets. One is food. I mentioned nutrient poor, highly refined, high sugar, highly processed foods which lack the nutrients, which are filled with artificial colors, artificial additives, artificial flavors, which are all toxic, and they actually activate an immune response because the immune system thinks they are a threat, and they are, because we know that a lot of these colors and additives are actually toxic for our brain, and they have, some of them have been implicated in autism, ADHD spectrum in kids. And it's a shame that a lot of the foods that we give our children are actually the most toxic in nature. The case in point would be breakfast cereals. If you look at the ingredients in any of the the breakfast cereals that we typically give our children, which are filled with colors and flavorings, they are highly toxic. So I would ask you to take a look at the ingredient list and see how many artificial ingredients are there. So the lesser the number of ingredients, the lesser the number of numbers and the names that you don't recognize, the better. So which is why a piece of vegetable or a fruit has only one ingredient, and some of the other, maybe even processed, semi-processed foods, like a rice or something, will also have one ingredient. Maybe slightly processed foods will have one or two, few ingredients, and maybe not, they won't be sort of filled with artificial colors and additives and flavoring. So I would I would ask you to start looking at the ingredients of the products that you're buying, especially when it's coming in a package. If it's coming from a tree, then it's fine, right? So food is there, toxins are connected to this. So not only do we have toxins like these in our food, but we also have toxins everywhere else. So whether it's a polluted city, so the pollution in any of the big cities, I part of the world that I live in India, so that's something that we are dealing with. I actually have air filters at home, so that at least we get about 8 to 10 hours of clean air at night. That's a reality, and unless we can shift to a place which has less pollution, this I would say it's a good investment in your health. Of course, toxins are everywhere else too. So whether it's your laundry detergent, whether it's your personal care products, whether it's a makeup that you're putting on your body, and remember that your actually skin is a giant mouth. Okay, that's how it absorbs whatever you're putting on your skin. So it's not that whatever you're applying, what shampoo or makeup or perfume, it gets into your body, right? So just ensure that whatever you're applying, it's as minimal of these kind of products as possible. And now there are more and more alternatives which are available, healthier alternatives which are eco-friendly, much less toxic, without all the artificial fragrances. They are all available all over the world. Is That's a good thing. So opting for that, actually we're going back to the eras of our great grandparents and our great grandparents, when they used to use soap nuts for shampooing, and uh, all the traditional herbs, etc., coming back, whether it's neem, whether it's tulsi or basil. All of that is actually curcumin, haldi. They are all coming back for that reason. It's in many different products. So start looking out for those products and start opting for them. And the last is the stress. Now, stress can be emotional, psychological stress. and it doesn't matter whether you feel stressed or not, or because sometimes we are so disconnected from our bodies, from ourselves, that we don't even realize the stress that we carry, and all of us do that from time to time. So the more you are sort of connected to your body and how you feel, when you feel stressed, that you have a typical pattern. So if you start paying attention to your body, you will understand when you're actually getting stressed, your stress levels are increasing. For some it might be, their hands become clammy. Some others, it might mouth becomes dry, their heart starts pounding, or there's a tightening in the chest area, or there's a tummy ache. There will be certain symptoms, right? Signs even before you realize what's happening. And of course, there can also be physiological stresses when you are taking certain drugs or medication for a medical condition, or maybe just popping in a pill without realizing how it's harming your body. One classic examples are painkillers, if we, yeah, and even so painkillers, for example, which actually affects the gut lining, the integrity of the gut lining, which is what I was talking about in one of the three factors in the perfect storm. So if you're not careful, how often we are taking it. Of course, medications are necessary at certain points, but we need to be aware of their side effects as well and how it affects our health. So that would be one example of a physiological stress. It can be the foods that you're consuming that you are sensitive to, that your body is not able to tolerate or break down. Lactose is one classic example of that. Gluten is one example. So lactose is found in dairy, which is your milk and milk products. Gluten is found in wheat, rye, barley, and other wheat products, and many other products. Actually, it's in a whole bunch of things which you can't even imagine. So these are some of the ways where we have physiological stressors. It can be an ongoing viral infection your body is constantly trying to get rid of, but because there is so much going on elsewhere that your immune system is not able to, get hold of it completely. So these can be examples of physiological stresses. But when you bring them together, it's food toxins and stress, and this is the third reason why autoimmune diseases are on the rise. So I wanted to hop in today and share with you so that you understand what's going on behind chronic autoimmune activation, so that you can start taking the steps necessary to sort of reverse the disease progression if you already have one, or at least become more aware of the products that you're using, your stress, your sleep, your hydration, and understanding that how it all plays out, right? So bringing it all together, we have an increasing immune loss of immune tolerance to self, which means that our immune system is increasingly unable to differentiate between what is our own body tissues and what is a threat. And I have explained the reasons why behind that, the three reasons. And the threat is often a microbe lodged in a tissue, or something, a protein in a particular tissue which looks suspiciously like something else that the immune system is already fighting with, or producing antibody towards, right? Which is typically happens in a lot of the thyroid conditions, where the immune system is already creating antibodies towards the protein found in gluten. It can end up producing antibodies towards your thyroid, right, and start destroying the thyroid gland. This is again becoming more and more common, which leads to why more and more people are getting affected with Hashimoto's and even Graves. These are two of the autoimmune conditions of the thyroid, and more and more women are getting affected. That's a quite interesting part. But either way, knowing about this, it, will help you to sort of maybe think about the choices that you're making on a daily basis, right? So, if you're watching it on replay, make sure that you drop in your comments below. If you have any questions, drop in that too. And if you think that somebody would benefit from it, make sure that you share this video and tell them about it, so that they can take charge of their own healing journey and start getting better soon. And of course, I have a free upcoming masterclass. It's called Turn Confusion into Clarity. Explore the interconnectedness between at the root of your autoimmune disease. It's on the 16th of May at 6 p.m. IST. I'm going to share the link below. Make sure that you sign up for that. You will get answers to a lot of questions that you might be having as to what's really going on, what are the connections between your health issues, your symptoms, and your autoimmune disease. Even if you don't have a confirmed diagnosis, if, this session would be for you. There will be limited number of registrations, so make sure that you sign up today.